Let's go live to the Atlanta airport where our good friend Westwood One, DAZN, he's got about 10 different jobs. Former Patriot great offensive lineman Ross Tucker joining the show. Ross, set the scene. Are you at the airport right now?
I am at the airport, Paulie. I am sweating. I'm drenched, and I'm always happy when I talk to you guys. And this is probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. I'm going to make my flight. And it was looking very, very dire. So to set the scene, okay, I had to do my Sirius XM show till 8. Ooh. To give myself a little cushion. I left with a segment left. Solomon Wilcott took over for me, had a car waiting, was feeling great about it, got to the airport by 8:15, 8:20 for a 9:30 flight. Come in here, check my bag. There's 2-hour wait line. Even in TSA pre.
Did you use your physicality? You're what, 6'4"? You're still about 260. Did you use your physicality to get through security? Did you bang out some media members?
No, well, that's what I do when I have to get interviews, like in the media scrums at the Super Bowl, like media availability. I go on my toes or I elbow. I actually like to push people that I know and see how far they'll let me push me before they look at me and they start to get mad and then they realize it's me. I'll just like subtly nudge them. But how about this? If I ask a guy, I'm like, all right, man, what do we need to do? My flight's at 9:30. He's like, you need to get on the international shuttle and go over to the international terminal. I said, okay. So where's that? So I run over to the international shuttle. There's a line that looks like it's 40 minutes to get on the international shuttle. So I try to get in the cab line. There's a guy getting in the cab. I hear him say international terminal. I'm like, dude, can I jump in with you? He said yes. So we had 4 guys all trying to do the same thing, jump in the same cab. The driver wouldn't take us because it's not a long enough drive for him. It's not a long enough trip. So we're all offering him all kinds of money just to drive us here. We get to the international terminal. I hop out. TSA pre is still like 25, 30 minutes. So I go to the lady that's in charge. I show her a picture of my daughters. And I say, I've been away for 9 days. They're 6 and 5. Is there anything you can do? My flight's at 9:30. She said, well, you can go here in priority. I said, priority. That sounds good. Priority, that's for me. So she takes me to the front of the line. I get through, go through international, hop on a shuttle, just about to board my flight, and I'm ecstatic because they don't have a lot of direct flights to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, as you might imagine. So I made it. We did it. And everybody listening, I know, cares a great deal about this.
Thoughts and prayers.
No, Russ, we're really happy you made it. I'm going to hit you with the DP Show poll question for today. Was the Super Bowl a good game?
Oh, I like the way you phrased that, McLovin. I think it was a good game, and I'll tell you why. Most important thing to me is that the contest is in doubt throughout, and it really was. You know, you get to the point where you've got Jared Goff moving the ball down the field to try to get a game-tying touchdown. You know, I'll take that over the Seahawks blowing out the Broncos in New York City. You know, midway through the second quarter, you knew the game was over. I'll also say this. There weren't a lot of replays. There was no controversial call, which clouded the judgment of the outcome. The better team won. I thought it was more great defense than it was bad offense. Now, look, there was some bad offense involved, but I was amazed at how prepared the guys were on defense for both teams. I mean, and Ndamukong Suh and Dante Fowler making plays on screens and draws and jet sweeps. I thought it was a really well-played, well-coached game in which the defenses had the upper hand. I think that 2 weeks they were able to dial some stuff up. I mean, McVay said after the game, McLovin, that the Patriots have been playing a lot of man. And then Devin McCourty told me after the game that it's the most zone they played all year. And that's why I think it looked like Jared Goff was seeing ghosts out there. So I will say I thought it was a good game. I'm not going to say great game, but I'll say if the poll question is good, I'll go with yes, it was a good game.
So it felt like the officials were letting them play last night. And like you're saying, there was no controversial calls really, and it didn't seem like there was necessarily a lot of penalties. Why is that? Is that just a crew decision, or is that a reaction to the games leading up to this? Well, why is it that they let them play?
You know, Seton, I actually think that they tell them before the playoffs to, when in doubt, let them play. And I think that's one. And by the way, I like that, right? None of us want to see a lot of flags in the playoffs. I think we all like that. They want the action to be decided on the field more. But I actually think that that's one of the reasons why they didn't throw the flag in the Saints-Rams game on Nickel Roby-Coleman. I think that the ref that was there had a bad angle. He thought it was a bang-bang play, and I think they are told in the playoffs, when in doubt, don't throw the flag. And I thought last night was more of that. You know, some people were saying, well, if it was Brady that got blasted on the sideline like Goff did, that they would have thrown the flag. But let's not forget, I mean, earlier in the game, Aaron Donald slung down Brady. And I'm telling you, in the regular season, that would be a penalty. So I think it was all fair. In the secondary, you know, Peters was pretty physical, as was Stephon Gilmore. I thought all of those were good no calls. I thought it was a really cleanly, well-played game. Even the foul they called on Roby-Coleman, I know some people were complaining about that. I thought that was textbook helmet-to-helmet of a defenseless receiver. You know, Burkhead had just caught the ball. So I think they let him play, and I think that we're all the better off for it. I don't think anybody wants stoppages of play, more replays, more flags. I mean, we all get annoyed when we say, does this ref realize that the game's not about him? So I'm glad the game was not about the refs last night for a lot of reasons.
Ross Tucker, Westwood One Sports, joining us on the Dan Patrick Show. If I'm a Rams fan out there today, I'm frustrated. What happened to my offense? Can you see what happened to their offense, and do you blame them, or do you just more give credit to the Patriots' defensive plan?
I would say I mean, like you guys know already, it's always a combination of both. I did think that the Patriots had a really good plan. They could not get the run game going. You know, 8 consecutive third downs they can't convert. It just makes it so hard to get any type of flow, any type of consistency when you can't get any first downs. And you look at it, they had a great plan. Gilmore a lot of times was matched up with Cooks. He was excellent. But I'll also say this, Paulie. I mean, you think about twice Brandon Cooks had the ball in his hands in the end zone.
Right.
Now, McCourty made a tremendous play with his left hand to rip it down, and Duron Harmon made a terrific play as well to knock the ball out of his hands. But still, I mean, you got to catch at least one of those.
Quickly,
That's
Ross.
how I look at it.
Ross, you're a former Patriot offensive lineman, close personal friend of Tom Brady. Did you make the cut for the after party, for the Patriots after party?
So first of all, I know you're being facetious because I'm definitely not a close personal friend of Tom Brady's. We hung out socially like 3 or 4 times.
That's pretty good.
I did not make the cut, and I did not ask to make the cut because by the time I got back to my hotel and recorded my podcast, it was 1:15 a.m., and I got up at 4:15 a.m. because I had to go back in an Uber downtown to do my 6 a.m. Sirius XM show. So, I mean, it would have been fun to be around those guys, but I can drink daddy sodas whenever I want. I wanted to get at least 3 hours of sleep.
Ross, your Twitter feed last night was kind of an ugly scene. I sensed a real dissatisfaction with the media room food, especially halftime potato chips. What happened?
Yeah, this is interesting, too, because I actually have my pass allowed me to have a spot in the auxiliary locker room. I mean, the auxiliary press box area. But the issue with that is you're in the stands and there's no TV. So I literally don't even want it. Like, the most important thing to me is so that when I'm talking on my podcast or with you guys or on my radio show, that I'm able to really see all the replays and really see stuff and not be in the upper corner of the end zone. So I chose to be in the media workroom instead. The pregame meal was they had mixed greens, which is lovely, balsamic vinaigrette, and then they had 5 containers of chicken fingers. So not 1 or 2 or 3. They had 5 separate containers of the exact same chicken fingers. But I will say those were actually delicious. So I cut that up on top of my lettuce and had like a crazy healthy breaded chicken salad, I guess.
Nobody adjusts like you.
No, and here's the thing, though. At halftime, all they had was Lay's chips. There was something happened, and they sent the food to the wrong place. So at pregame, I ate at like 3:30, okay? Now it's halftime, and all they have is Lay's potato chips.
Oh, no.
Which, number one, but listen, Paulie, number one, you need to have more food than that. Number two, what galaxy, what world do we live in that if you only have one potato chip, it's Lay's rather than Doritos? I mean, we established when I was 3 years old that Doritos are the best chips on the planet. They always have been. Nobody debates it. This isn't like a big – we all know. So if you're only going to have one chip there, have Doritos. I would have ate the crap out of 6 bags of Doritos, but I don't like baked Lay's or whatever it was. Thankfully, At the end of the third quarter, they brought in like some pulled pork. But at that point, the game was going on. So I grabbed the food, but I didn't have a chance to do a video of it because I couldn't take the time.
God bless you.
They didn't deserve a video. If the food wasn't there at halftime, they don't deserve a video.
See, this all makes so much more sense to me now because the overwhelming narrative coming out of the Super Bowl was that it was a really terrible game. Well, yeah, if you have a bunch of hungry reporters and media members covering the game, this is like a Snickers commercial living out where they're like, man, this game stunk, no food, man.
That solves it.
You know what? You know what's funny about that scene? You say that. I know you're kidding, but I always think it's so weird. Like, why these cities and franchises don't have better press box food? It's not that big a deal. You're not spending that much money. And obviously, if your team stunk, they're going to say they stunk. If your team's great, they're going to say they're great. But wouldn't you want them to have a positive impression for all of their readers and listeners and everybody of your city, of your venue, and of your food? It's not that hard. Like, anytime I go to Green Bay, I love it. They've got pack and cheese. They've got brats. They've got all kinds of great stuff. Then you go to some of these other cities, and it's just garbage. And I'll be honest with you, I am an objective journalist, but they might not always get the benefit of the doubt based on their food. that might, and it's subconscious. It's not a conscious decision by me. But look, I commentate with my brain, but mainly with my belly.
Nice. All right, final 30 seconds, Ross. Last night's game, Julian Edelman, seal a Hall of Fame entry with that performance?
So I need to really sit down and look at the numbers because I thought it was laughable early in the week when people were talking about Edelman as a Hall of Famer. I was like, what? Are you kidding? Are you serious? Like, I really thought people were joking when they were talking about Edelman as a Hall of Famer. Now that he's a Super Bowl MVP and now that he had that performance, now I need to take a closer look at it and at least examine the numbers. I feel like, though, if guys like Isaac Bruce can't get in and Torrey Holt, I'm going to have a tough time putting in Julian Edelman at this point. But his career's not over yet. I mean, maybe he has 2, 3, 4 more years like it. He would be under sort of the Lynn Swann candidacy. In other words, like Lynn Swann's in the Hall of Fame because those 3 catches he had in those 2 Super Bowls that we've all seen 5 bazillion times, that's going to be the Edelman thing. Whereas, like, when Edelman retires 5 years after, they're going to be like, remember that catch he had against the Seahawks in the Super Bowl? Remember when he dominated the Rams in the Super Bowl? I mean, that's going to be his candidacy unless he plays, several more years.
Ross, thanks a lot. I think I speak for everyone here saying we're really proud of your work this week. Not so much the football coverage, but fighting through the halftime potato chip situation. We'll talk to you soon, buddy. Good luck getting home.
Absolutely. Take care, guys. And I had Subway a couple times this week. They did have spicy mustard. So that crisis has been at least temporarily averted.
Oh, thoughts and prayers. Spicy mustard for life. Ross Tucker, thanks for joining us on the Dan Patrick.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.